What's up, Taiwan? I'm Brossard with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. 2 of 3 candidates running to be Taiwan's next president have signed a pledge to support sexual diversity in the country. The Democratic Progressive Party's Lai Ching-te was the first to post a video signing the pledge on Wednesday. It's part of an initiative by the Taiwan Equality Campaign to tell voters which candidates support greater sexual equality. The Taiwan People's Party's Ko Wen-je has also signed, but the organizer told TaiwanPlus that the candidate from the largest opposition party, the Kuomintang, has not yet responded. Taiwan citizens are going to the polls in just over a month, but when the country's indigenous people cast their votes, their ballots will look different from others. Rick Lauert has more.
Legislative candidate Savangan travelled nearly 400 kilometres from her home in Taiwan's capital, Taipei, to canvass for votes in this village in the country's rural south. She's running for one of 6 special seats in the legislature reserved for the country's indigenous people.
当然啦，尤其是我这次是年轻的无党参选人，所以你要跑全国的那个选区的范围啊，跟那个就我们的选区跟总统的选区一样大。
Like the rest of Taiwan's 600,000 indigenous population, Savangan cannot run as or vote for a representative of the constituency she lives in. Only in this parallel election for 6 of the legislature's 113 seats.
Reserved indigenous seats were introduced into Taiwan's legislature decades ago as a largely symbolic acknowledgement of the country's often marginalised minority. Now, many within the community say it hasn't given them a greater voice in national politics.
Unlike the majority of legislators who represent a geographic district, indigenous legislators act on behalf of voters spanning the length of the country. But indigenous communities say the system sidelines local issues. Problems like unemployment and access to healthcare, which disproportionately affect the indigenous population.
所以形成感觉好像，有的时候会感觉不是很完美、很完整。
我会觉得分区会比较好啊，因为如果我住在南部，我当然希望更多的资源都跟我有关系。
It's also an issue of identity. Indigenous voters are divided into highland and lowland people. It's a categorization introduced by the Japanese when they ruled Taiwan for 50 years up to 1945. But this does not reflect the country's 16 officially recognized indigenous groups that each have their own language and culture.
因为人是会移动的，从前住在山地乡的原住民呢，也会到都会地区来工作生活。 那住在都会地区的原住民呢，也有可能回到自己的部落跟家乡，然后再加上婚姻啊、嫁娶啊，搬来搬去，所以这一套所谓的山地原住民跟平地原住民的这个制度呢，已经跟当时设计的时候的概念跟理想状况呢是不一样的。
A young and enthusiastic democracy, Taiwan has one of the highest voter turnouts in the world. But indigenous candidates like Savangan feel they are contending with an outdated and imperfect system as they struggle to increase their voice in national politics. John Su and Rick Lauert for TaiwanPlus.
Volunteers are struggling to clean up a massive oil spill in northeastern Taiwan. Laurel Stewart went to the region on Wednesday to find out more.
We're here in Yilan on Taiwan's east coast on what is a very ordinary beach. But if you look closely, the rocks here are all covered in thick, sticky oil. Now, it's something that the locals here discovered this morning, but it's actually an issue that's been afflicting the whole of the east coast for the past week. The oil spill originally came from the south near Taitung and Green Island, and it's been moving in the water northwards over the past week. Now, volunteers have come here to clean up the oil on the rocks, but if you look at how big this beach is, and this is just one of many along the east coast of Taiwan, they're moving in tiny increments along the rocks. Volunteers here are using these sheets to wipe off the oil from the rocks, and it's a very arduous process because it has to be done by hand and the oil is really thick. It comes off like this, but it still leaves remnants of the oil on the rocks. Now, they say there's not enough people doing this job, there's not enough time to prevent the oil coming in. It's still in the water and it's still moving northward, which means the oil is getting into the ecosystem, it's getting all over the rocks, it's in the fish, and they say there's not enough being done to understand the source of these problems coming in. Luffy Li and Laurel Stewart in Yilan, Taiwan for TaiwanPlus.
Animal rights activists are fighting to put an end to dolphin shows in Taiwan. Eugene Huang has more.
Dolphin performances, like the one happening here, have long been a tourist draw for Taiwan's ocean theme parks. But some say these shows violate the sea mammals' rights and send the wrong message to people that go see them. Animal rights activists are now calling on the government to put an end to dolphin shows.
它绝对是一个纯粹的恶。为了展出海豚表演，有些海豚它从野外被捕捉，它经历跟家族、跟朋友的离散与伤痛，甚至亲眼睁睁地看着家人被残忍的屠杀。
Last year, Taiwan's Agriculture Ministry banned using protected land-based animals for entertainment. That includes forcing them to interact with humans. The activists say that ban should also apply to protected ocean life.
对于利用野生动物来做这个展演这件事情呢，我们是基本上也是表示反对了哈。那我们这一块也会尽快来跟农业部那边来合作推动修法。
Authorities say changes to the law are a must to avoid any gray area in making sure dolphins' rights are protected. But until that happens, these sea creatures will continue to be vulnerable to exploitation. Klein Wang and Eugene Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Researchers in central Taiwan have developed a new device they say can detect Alzheimer's disease in just 2 minutes. Tiffany Wong takes a look.
A drop of blood, a device the size of a flash drive, and just 2 minutes. This is all medical researchers in central Taiwan say you need to detect Alzheimer's disease. They've created a new medical device that can quickly analyze blood samples for indications of Alzheimer's, with an accuracy of up to 80%.
它就像是一个刷子，经过修饰以后，数据呢，它会往上往下去告诉人家说，现在阿兹海默的级别。
Alzheimer's is one of the most common forms of dementia, a debilitating brain disease with no cure. It's one of the world's leading causes of death. Experts say early diagnosis is key to getting patients the treatment they need. And that starts with making tests for the disease more accessible.
如果说可以在血液里面用这个任何的电子元件侦测等等啊，我相信在未来在地区的医院或者是在甚至卫生所，如果可以做这样的检测，有问题的病人再转到医院来做这个进一步的检查，我想这个是未来应该是应用最好的一个区域啊。
Alzheimer's is also a costly disease, sometimes requiring full-time care. Developers say they want to keep diagnostic costs low to intervene earlier and slow the progression of the disease.
目前中国医他们的正子造影的行情价大概是4万5，目片的成本目前估算大概是200块，资源可以投入的话，希望可以压到低于100块。
Currently, the tests are still in development and undergoing clinical trials at a local hospital. But researchers hope it will soon be widely available to help address the challenges of Taiwan's quickly aging population. Dolphin Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us here on What's Up Taiwan. Check out our website or social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take in the bright lights and brighter smiles on this Christmas train rolling through Chicago in the run-up to the holidays. I'm Philip Brossard. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus. Be sure to follow us on social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world.